True, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am. But why would you say that I am mad? The diseases have sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. How then am I mad? Observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart recounts the narrative of a mentally ill man who decides to brutally murder his old neighbor because of his hideous eye. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. I think it was his eye. Ah, yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye, with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now this is the point. You fancy me mad. Mad men know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. Every night was similar. I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently, and then I put in a dark lantern, all closed, closed that no light shone out, and then I thrust my head in. Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then I undid the lantern, cautiously, oh so cautiously, cautiously I undid the lantern, just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And this I did for 7 long nights, but I found the eye always closed. It was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. To think that there I was, opening the door little by little, and he had not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea. And perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. His room was as black as pitch, with a thick darkness, and so I knew he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept on pushing it, steadily and steadily. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, for he had risen, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a simple, dim ray shot out from the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue, with a hideous veil that chilled the very marrow of my bones, as I had directed the ray precisely upon the damned spot. Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. It grew quicker and quicker and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say, louder every moment. I thought my heart would burst, and now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. I shrieked once. Only once in an instant I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. Then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. But the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed, examining the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. Stone dead. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took with the concealment of the body. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the board so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. When I had made an end to these labors, it was still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came upon a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what I had now to fear. There entered 3 men who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. I smiled. I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. The officers were satisfied. My manner had conceived them. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears, but still they sat, and still they chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued. It became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitiveness until at length I found the noise was not within my ears. No doubt now I grew very pale. It was a low, dull, quick sound. I gasped for breath, yet the officers heard it not. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited by the fury of the observations of the men, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? It grew louder, 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 and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no, no, they heard, they suspected, they knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die, and now again, hark, louder, louder. Villains, I shrieked. Dissemble no more, I admit the deed. Tear up the planks, here, here. It is the beating of his hideous heart.